rocks, stay motivated, and change your socks.
The Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast. A Marine Corps League and Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. Now streaming on all major podcast platforms. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a veteran story. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? Make sure you hit up the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check us out, see what we're all about. There is a merchandise tab. You can go in there and get you some cool gear, help support us in getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. Also, a big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project. They're out there doing some amazing things. If you don't know anything about them, go to their website. And even if you do know something about them, go to their website, check them out, because there's ways you can help them out. But go check them out at tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member.
Wise. And so I'm sitting on 124 one day, and the radio crackles in the morning about 10 o'clock saying, you got a mail bird coming in. We got a resupply bird once a week. And if you're lucky, every other week or sometimes once a week, you got a mail bird. And the bird would come in and land, and they had nylon sacks that were all red. That were like big Santa Claus sacks, huge sacks with a coupling on it, white U.S. mail on it. The mail clerks at battalion sorted mail by company and platoon and put it by platoon into a sack. And everybody wrote home and said, sends boxes that are 6 by 12 with cookies and send mail. And, you know, one of the highlights was getting mail, man. We had an unscheduled mailbird coming in. So you got a mailbird coming in about an hour. Oh, great. Oh, and oh, by the way, your replacements on the mailbird, get all your shit together and you get on it. It's a handshake turnover. He'll be briefed. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
What am I doing? I say to the radio, and the radio operator says, sir, this is Hernandez. He'd been promoted from platoon up to company. I don't have a clue, sir, but good luck. Get on this friggin' mailbird. It flies back, and I get off at the battalion rear at the end of the division road down below 326. I don't know what to do, so I walk up the road. I had a Willie Peter bag now, waterproof bag, helmet, flak jacket. By this time, I had scrounged for an Arvin pack because you could stuff a lot of Arvin pack, my M16, my 45. I walk up, same warrant officer, walk in there. Hey, warrant officer, how is it? Fall in his chair. He says, you want a soda? I said, yep. He flips me a soda. He said, you're a son of a bitch. I said, I haven't seen you in 5.5 months, 6 months. You called me a son. What did I do to hurt you? He says, you're leaving the battalion and we're short of officers. We don't have enough officers. I mean, you're the second officer in that company. We built the company all the way up to 4 officers. And now you're being replaced by a sergeant and you got orders. I said, okay, where am I going? And he takes a pad of orders that have been stapled, throws them over the desk. You're going to Recon. What?
Nice. Okay.
First Recon. I said, okay. He said, we're done with you. I already checked you out. Turn in your rifle. Turn in your pistol. Turn in your flak jacket. Turn in your helmet. You can keep your Willa-Peter bag, pick up your sea bag at Supply, 3 houses down.
Wow.
I go down to Supply, get my Willa-Peter bag, go to the next Southeast Asia hut, which is the Armory, reinforced, turn in my M16 and my 45. I feel naked now.
Oh, yeah.
And I walk down to Division Road, which
Mm-hmm.
is the road that runs the crest at the foot of 327 on the inside. Stick my thumb out like everybody else in Vietnam. I'm hitchhiking. Very first 6x stops. Lance Corporal driving. Where are you going, Marine? Going to first recon. Okay, I'm driving right by there. Throw your sea bag in the back. Jump on up in the front. How you doing today? I'm doing great. Most of the truck drivers were infantry guys driving trucks. They were happy they weren't humping. This guy was happy. We get to first recon, screech, he stops. I get the bag, pull it out. He takes off, heads down the road. Freedom Hill, the big PX, was another 1.5 miles down from Camp Reesner. And there's a red bar going across the gate, metal pole, cement shack standing there. There's a PFC standing there with a helmet liner. You know, the liner that goes inside the helmet.
Yeah.
It ain't a real helmet. It's a helmet liner. And it's painted green and got the Recon logo on the front.
Yeah.
So he's a Recon guy, but he's standing the gate. I said, hey, where's the adjutant shop? What? I said, where's S1? Go down the hill, 5th place on the right. Drag my bag down there, go in there. There's a warrant officer sitting there. Yeah, we're really glad to see you. You're going to Delta Company. Go back up the road around the hill. Check into Delta Company. Back up the road around down the hill. Go into Delta Company office. Back then we had admin at company level.
Okay.
Best thing in the Marine Corps, because admin means you got the pay record. So the company first sergeant was in charge of paying the Marines.
Right.
And as a lieutenant or a company commander and first sergeant, you paid your Marines every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You had access to the pay system. You made all the entries. Going to centralized admin, all the admin weenies in the world love it. They centralized it. They saved bodies. Well, they hurt the Marine. I fought. It happened after Vietnam. I fought it and fought it and fought it. Wrote articles to the Gazette, jumped up and down and screamed. Everybody told me, go away. Checked in, so the Lance Corporal says, yeah, great to have you, Lieutenant. The company commander's at lunch. Go across the street. All the lieutenants live together in that hooch right across the street. Claim a rack. A rack? I went over there. I walk into this Southeast Asia hut up on stilts. It's divided by plywood. There was a cot sitting there. Some of the lieutenants had hospital beds. There's a cot sitting there. I claimed an empty one. Went to lunch at the mess hall. Hadn't been in the mess hall in 6 months.
The whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. Came back, went and saw the company commander, and he was a captain, and he said, yeah, okay, great. You've been here 6 months. You went to Recon Replacement School. You go on patrol in 3 days. You got first platoon. They're all out in the field. You can take Team Fig Newton. Their house is up here 2 streets up. See a corporal named Franklin. I go over, knock on the hatch. Everybody's in there. Boom box is going.
Nice.
The Recon, each team had their own hooch.
Yeah.
Team is in there. They got their little college side. It was great living in the rear. College style refrigerator, boom box going. Who's Franklin? Who wants to know? I said, I do. Hey, it's me. Come on in. I go over. I sit down on the next cot. I said, hey, I'm going on patrol with you. He said, who the fuck are you? I said, "Oh, I'm Lieutenant Fallon." Everybody goes, "Lieutenant." I said, "Hey, look, I've already been in country here. I'm not here to bust your balls. I'm the new guy here. I'm going to go back and to the officer's hut. Franklin, why don't you come over there and you and I will talk? I'm going on patrol with you." He comes over. I said, "Hey, it's your team. I don't know what you're doing. I'll bird dog you. I want to go to, when you give your order, when you
Yeah.
do anything, I'll just be a set of eyes. I'll go along with you and I'll do what you want me to do."
Uh-huh.
He goes, "Great." He says, "Come over at 3 this afternoon. I'm giving a warning order. Then tomorrow I'll give the final order." I get over there. I sit down, school circle in their hut.
Yeah.
He's going around and he says, "And the lieutenant's going to carry the M79." And nobody says shit. I go,
Yeah.
"Okay." And so afterwards, I say to Franklin, "How many rounds?" He goes, "Yes, sir. You're strong. How about 40? How do I get M79 40 millimeter grenade? How do I get 40 rounds?" And he said, "I'll get you a canvas satchel charge thing that's got a strap on it that we normally have blocks of C4 in, and it'll just fit 40 rounds." Well, shit, that's 12 inches wide by 12 high. A big
Yeah.
canvas thing around that with yourself. It's like, so fucking dumb Fallon, FNG lieutenant, I got 40 rounds. We're not even on the LZ first day of the patrol, and I know this is a test. So
Yeah.
I go, "There's no fucking way I'm saying anything. I'm
Yeah.
going to hump these 40 rounds." Well, it was misery. I had the worst neck ache. Didn't say nothing. Did the whole patrol. Patrol was a dry run. Uh, Franklin had his shit together as a team leader.
Yeah.
He'd already been in country like 22 months, had
Oh, wow.
35 or 40 patrols.
Uh-huh.
And that team became my personal team. I just said to
Oh, okay.
Franklin, each platoon has 3 teams.
Uh-huh.
Generally, the lieutenant rotates and goes out with each team, and you do that. But then when you get a mission you think might be hard, you go back and take your team. And then some of the lieutenants, when the chemistry's right and all 3 teams are experienced, they just stick with their team and they let the other 2 team leaders take care of their team. So
Right.
going to 326 as a second lieutenant, 0301, and you didn't get 0302 MOS until you had been in combat over 3 months and proven yourself. Then that adjutant back at battalion made you an 0302. So
Okay.
doing 6 months with them gave me the self-confidence. The basic school is the best school for officers anywhere, pipeline-wise. Today's 6 months give you all the tools to lead. The Marine Corps is stuck with it. They've added IOC, infantry officer training, on the back end of the basic school. So the basic school makes every lieutenant ability to command a platoon. The back end IOC now is the grad school of infantry officers. But I felt like my 6 months gave me what an IOC graduate would get today.
Yeah.
And so I got to Recon. I was ready to go. So the captain had been right. He was wrong to throw me into the fire, but I had the experience and was lucky enough to Corporal Franklin, was a great Marine, took care of me. And that's when I started at Delta Company. And we'll have something to say about Delta Company Marines later.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. I'm
I
at
love
Delta
it.
Company and I got 1 patrol.
Delta Company 1 Patrol. I'm loving it. Well, hey, if you don't mind, I'm gonna need to take a quick break. So I'll put us on pause here and then we'll come back here in a second.
I never turn down a break, and I know what to do on a break because I'm an old man. See you in a minute.
All right. All right, we're back here. Mike, I see you got your hat on there. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, AJ, thanks for asking. We left after my first patrol with Delta Company 119. The hat says Hill
Hill
119,
119. Yeah.
which is the hill that was Delta Company's OP. And so this is a plug. There's Hill 119.
Yeah.
That's a CH-53 bringing a water buffalo into Hill 119. So a book about Delta Company 119. It's coming out 15 August. Amazon. You can pre-order today. Hill 119, the observation post, reconnaissance Marines defending it, 1969, 1970. It's a documented history book backed up with patrol reports based on interviews of Lance Corporals, PFCs, sergeants, gunnery sergeants that manned Hill 119 for 600 days, surrounded by the NVA. The NVA's T-89th Sapper Battalion had a mission to take 119 down. It's a 600-day battle. The book's about that. It's exciting. Amazon pre-order today, and I hope you enjoy the read as much as I enjoyed interviewing over 100 Marines and corpsmen that served on Hill 119. So thanks for letting me have the promo, AJ. And we're back
Absolutely.
to I've had one patrol in Delta Company. The book's about all the Marines in Delta Company in 1970. Over to you.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I can't wait to read the whole book. I'm super excited about it. And you'll be able to hear more about it whenever this Thursday when your podcast hits to talk about the book. So yeah, we'll make sure that they get all the details and all that stuff in the comments on the posts and all that stuff, so they can know where to go to get it and all that good stuff. So it'll be good.
Most appreciative. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Let me give a shout out here that AJ is a Marine Corps League ambassador. So if you're a Marine on active duty or a recently retired Marine, don't think the Marine Corps League is for old farts. They got all ages, WMs, reserves, regulars, privates, generals. Join the Marine Corps League, share the heritage. More importantly, help a fellow Marine by just talking to him. AJ's an ambassador doing a great job growing the Marine Corps League. So thanks, AJ. Appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I just yesterday I was in McAllister, Oklahoma. We did the Oklahoma Marine Corps League convention. So I was able to go out there, visit with those Marines. We talked about social media stuff, how to post things, different things like that. Talked to them about the podcast here as well. So it was a good time. I really enjoyed myself.
Hey, AJ, I told you sometimes I got ideas.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps League, and if I don't say them when I have them, my ideas aren't connected to the hard drive in the back of the brain housing group. So sometimes the brain housing group doesn't get it.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps League is a co-sponsor of the annual Marine Corps convention that goes on in the Washington, D.C. Convention Center, usually first week of May, that brings in all the contractors.
That's right.
But more importantly, all the active duty Marines, starting with the commandant and the acquisition command. So there's all kinds of booze there. Maybe next year, AJ, you should have the Lost Ark booth at the Marine Corps League. They do small business discounts, and you can do a live podcast every day from the convention center. I bet you could get corporates and real Marines something to think about. Check it out. Marine Corps League.
It's funny you
Go
say
ahead.
that, because next year I'm actually going to have a booth there, which is going to be pretty cool. It's going to be with the Marine Corps League, but I'm going to have my own little booth where I'm going to do live podcasts and live presentations and different things. So it should be a good time. I got to attend this past year, or this year, I should say, several months back. And at my first time ever going to it, man, I had a blast. Yeah, I didn't have a booth or anything, but the Marine Corps League basically wanted me to go to check it out because I'm doing the booth next year with them. So yeah, it was a really, really cool experience. So I'm glad I got to go.
Yeah, it's great you saw the venue. And if you're a retired Marine, you're a Marine in business, wanting to do business with Marines, other companies, Marine to Marine, or with the Marine Corps, this is once a year, one time shopping.
Yeah.
You're a CEO, a president of small business. You're the BD guy. Marine Corps convention, sponsored by the Marine Corps League. You see everybody there. You'll see old friends. And you'll see
Absolutely.
AJ next year.
I'll be there. That's
All right. There you go.
That's right. Not to mention, and I want to give a shout out to a lot of the nonprofits that are out there. There's a lot of nonprofits that end up setting up booths and talking about what they have going on. It's a great opportunity for them as well. So if there's anybody out there that wants to sign up, they can. I think you can find all that info out at mcleague.org if they go and check it out there. If not, and I can find out exactly where to go, but I'm pretty sure you could do that.
Well, I can tell you where to go. The other sponsor.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
The other sponsor is the Marine Corps Association Foundation. And they're the foundation arm of the Marine Corps Association, which is the association that publishes Marine Corps Gazette and Leatherneck.
Right.
They also have a podcast. So we got to figure out how to make AJ's podcast an additional podcast to the Marine Corps Association. There ought to be an off ramp or an on ramp there. The big kahuna there is, of course, the Woody Woodburn is the publisher and the editor of the Gazette and Leatherneck. He's the active duty Marine. Active duty. Woody's retired. Sorry. Marine that runs the show. Great Marine. Great publisher and editor. But the lady who makes stuff happen is Leanne Mitchell. So she's the VP for development. And if you're corporate business, talk to Leanne. She will take care of you in a heartbeat. Marine Corps Association, in conjunction with the Marine Corps League, sponsors the Marine Corps Convention, and Commandant of the Marine Corps and Sergeant Major will be there next year, guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Man, you got a lot of good plugs in there. I appreciate that. My cat is trying to see everything right this second.
What's your cat's name?
This cat is named Cat. That's what I call her. Cat. Yeah, I got another one. We named it Meow Meow. So,
those sound like good Marine names.
Yeah, something I could remember.
Your dog's probably named Dog, right?
No, actually, so I have a English bulldog. His actual name is Teufel. So, of course, like Teufel Hunden, but so his name's Teufel. And then I have another dog, French bulldog, and his name is actually Dan, named after Dan Daly. So
right.
Yeah. So my wife was gracious enough to let me have an English bulldog. She said, you were a Marine for over 20 years. You need to have an English bulldog at least once. So luckily enough, I was able to do that. So
that's super. And of course, you'll see the bulldog next year at the Marine Convention. And if you ever go to a sunset parade at 8th and I, home of the Commandant, you'll see Chesty. I've forgotten the number, probably Chesty 14, be marched out. And there's actually a Marine who's full-time duties train and take care of Chesty, but he comes out with the colors for the sunset parade. A great event. You're a retired Marine or Marine anytime. You are allowed to go to that event. You got to go online, get your tickets. They're free, but you got to go through and you got to book them early because sell
Oh,
out
yeah.
every Friday night.
Yeah.
All right,
And that's,
AJ, let's talk about the Marine Corps.
yeah. Well, let's get back into Hill 119. That's where you're at now. Let's jump into that.
Okay, if you're in Delta Company 1st Reconnaissance Battalion, you, as a Marine or a corpsman,
Mhm.
um, you live in 3 environs. And in the book, I describe all 3 environments at the Marine level. The first environment we mentioned was Camp Reasoner. You have a
Mhm.
Southeast Asia hut. You live with your fellow teammates in your own hut. You can decorate the inside of it any way you want. And you live in the hut between patrols. So you live
Okay.
in the hut 1 or 2 days between patrols. And the rear is your time to decompress, but it's also the chicken shit rear. So if you get caught in the rear too long, you got to go to bunker duty on the wire of the camp, or
Right.
you got to go burn the shitters, or do
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that. Generally, the good teams stayed away from rear duty by staying in the field. The second environment you went into is a 6 to 8 man team. This is 1969, 1970. Size of your team is driven by the mission.
Mhm.
The Marine Corps SOP at the time was classified. Was a standing operation procedure. I'm looking up to look at the cover. Stingray, clandestine, long range patrols, 1st Recon Battalion, 1st Force Recon,
Mhm.
Camp Reasoner, Da Nang, Republic of Vietnam, classified secret. That was the SOP that start to finish told you how to run a patrol.
Oh,
And 6-man patrol, you would go to the bush. Every person on the patrol had a job to do. It was different, had a responsibility. And you'd go out 5 to 9 days, and there were 12 to 14 different type missions, but 90% of the patrols fell into 2 types. You went
mhm.
into a keyhole patrol. A keyhole patrol, keyhole is a nickname of, like, you're a little kid looking through the keyhole of your parents' bedroom, trying to figure
Okay.
out what they're doing in there with the
Yeah.
boombox going on and the mattress making lots of squeaks. You're looking through that keyhole and you're writing a report. Your job is not to get busted, not to get caught, get back to the rear to your Southeast Asia hut and tell the S2 what was going on, look it through that keyhole, which was a
Right.
location that the S2 and the S3 had ginned up and sent to you. And that was when they send you out, that's called an insert. And you can
Mhm.
get inserted by your Cadillacs, by a truck, by a vehicle, by a helo, by an
Right.
IBS, which is a rubber boat. You can swim in, you can jump in, but most of the Vietnam inserts were helicopter inserts where
Mhm.
you went into a landing zone 80% of the time, back ramp off, you could walk off or run off the ramp. Sometimes you had to rappel in, um, still an easy way to get in.
Mhm.
Usually, if you heloed in, you hoped to helo out, didn't have to walk out, because if you
Right.
walked out, it was a long walk. A patrol was adrenaline filled, very little sleep, always on your nerves, in the enemy's backyard, behind enemy yard, walking into their base camps. Um, if you were good at it, you loved
Mhm.
it, you were addicted to the adrenaline, and what you liked about it was you made the decisions. If you were good, you didn't get surprised. You
Yeah.
surprised the enemy. The other type was called a stingray patrol. And a
Mhm.
stingray patrol is you pretended you were a Marine Recon version of Muhammad Ali. You went out
Okay.
there and you danced like a butterfly and you stung like a bee. You
All right.
patrolled to a base camp. You found out there's 200 NVA in the base camp.
Uh-huh.
you backed up on a nearby finger, and then you called supporting arms, artillery if you were inside the artillery range, fan, aircraft if you were outside the fan, bomb the shit out of those guys, just like the Stinger on a Stingray coming up. And then you had to get ready to run because they knew somebody was calling in. They were looking for you with a counter recon team. So the second environment a Marine lived in was adrenaline-filled patrols. The third environment was OPs. So 1st Recon Battalion, 1st Force, as 3rd Recon, 3rd Force, all had observation posts, generally on a hill, hopefully on a very high hill, that had two functions. The first and primary function was to serve as a radio relay going west, so you always had radio comm with the rear. The worst thing a recon team can be is long gone and out of comm. No comm, no supporting arms, no free ticket home. You got a problem. So in a fan around Da Nang and then a fan around the DMZ, Quezon, there were big hills that became recon radio relays that were manned by recon teams that manned the radios that talked to teams that were deeper. And then about half of these hills were also observation posts to look in the valley below you to try to call supporting arms. To get some continuity in 1st Recon, each company generally manned one OP. And in 1st Recon 69 and 70, they had 5 letter companies. So they had the addition of built up Echo Company, Alpha through Echo. They also had Alpha Company 5th Recon, so 6 letter company. And for most of the time, they had 1st Force Recon assigned to them, 7 letter companies with the prerequisite not only 3 platoons, every letter company had a wartime supplement of a 4th platoon. So 4 platoons, 3 teams each, except 4th platoon had 4 teams. They were trying to maximize the number of teams that they could put in the bush. So you went in the bush, 5 days, get 2 days off, you're right back. You generally did that. If there were 4 platoons in Delta Company, you did that for 2 months straight, and then you got 2 weeks up on the OP. And the 4 platoons rotated to the OP. And let me tell you, the Marines and the Corpsmen, the OP was the rear. It wasn't Southeast Asia huts, but it wasn't adrenaline. It also wasn't the company gunny. There was no chicken shit. It was your platoon defending your hill, and you could kick back and relax in the daytime. In the nighttime, every OP always was challenged, and the challenges were small probes to supporting arms from the enemy against you while you had bunkers and trench lines. So you had to defend the OP, call in artillery, and during the daytime, take your turn looking through glasses to call fire missions. So your life was a cycle, and each Delta Company Marine in a year, you know, he maybe got 5 or 6 trips to the OP. And then we had OP rats. So in 69, it was just recon. And then the artillery got involved in the game with a device that the Office of Naval Research put out called the Integrated Observation Device. We can talk about the development of that device by the Office of Naval Research and its first employment of the new technology in country and the first ever use of the laser rangefinder in combat on Hill 119. Read about it in the book. But anyway,
for sure,
the Hill Rats became guys from the 11th Marines, the Arty Regiment, enlisted FOs that went up to man the integrated observation device which was built around a ship's binoculars, which is a 400-pound set of binoculars normally found on the bridge of a ship that you look through at 200 power, that you can see on a clear day with the sun at your back, everything perfect, 30 kilometers.
Wow. No kidding.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Game changer. So as a Marine, you got 6 trips up there. Artie Marine, the plank holder for IOD, a plank holder, 11th Marine guy, a guy by the name of Mark Bayak, spent 5.5 months up there. Great Marine, got out, went with our government for the next 20 years, became a Chinese speaker, and spent his time overseas. Good friend of mine, great Marine, and he was the preeminent FO on Hill 119. You can read about Mark as a corporal in the book 119.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I brought it up. I'll tell you about it because we were talking about the convention center and the technology.
Mm-hmm.
The Office of Naval Research through today develops new software, hardware, programs, instruments, devices, weapons for the Marine Corps, and they use R&D money to do that. This project was a Marine Corps project that they funded ONR to integrate 3 separate fielded programs into one, thus the name Integrated Observation Device. So they took the known ship's binoculars, 400 pounds. They took a known night observation device, which is about 120 pounds. Think of a starlight scope on steroids that uses the illumination of the moon or the stars, magnifies it into a night observation device. And a laser rangefinder. At the time, the box was about the size of 4 shoe boxes bolted together. They put it on a round metal platform and made it a tripod, and then anchored it into the ground with a chain and a weight. And what the artillery did is they brought out their meteorological survey platoon, the same platoon that surveys the placement of the artillery gun, so they know the 10 digits grid of where that artillery gun is. They surveyed in the IOD. So now they had 2 known surveyed points, and the observer could look in the daytime 30 kilometers, shoot the laser rangefinder. At the time all this was classified, whose best distance was about 10 kilometers. It would have a digital readout to the meter and say that's 3,087 meters. You would look on the round disc, and the finger would say at 272 mils. You would call the Artillery Fire Direction Center and shoot what's called a polar plot, 2 known places, a known distance, no requirement for bracketing, no requirement for shooting 1 round. When you did that, the NVA were so smart, they hear the round. Every trail had holes every 10 feet to jump in. The round land, what a direct hit in a hole, shrapnel went over. You never killed anybody by artillery, ever. Game changer. I want to shoot a battery 3, fire for effect. That's 6 guns in a battery, firing 3 times as fast as they can at this one grid, known to the 1 meter, in a sheaf-in spread of 100 meters. That's 18 rounds in the air at the same time. They all come down at the same time. When the smoke clears, you can then count bodies on the trail.
No kidding.
Talk about so just like Carlos Hathcock got a confirmed kill when he shot somebody and his
Mm-hmm.
assistant sniper through the M49 scope in the scope could verify it and sign his logbook, confirmed body. Mark Bayok now, corporal, he's got a battery, 2 batteries. If the target justified itself, 3 batteries, fire for
Wow.
effect, game changer. To whereas in 1970, the 11th Marine Regiment accounted for 48% of all the NVA killed, confirmed by the 1st Marine Division.
Wow. No kidding.
Now,
That's
everybody
huge.
loves, so that's a great example of pre-technology. And so in Hill 119, we've done the research and the statistics to meet operational research standards of every fire mission fired pre-IOD and every
Right.
single fire mission post-IOD, because you had to log in every fire mission. So now
Mm-hmm.
down in the Virginia Tech Vietnam archives,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to take the time to scroll through, you can find fire mission 1305, 6 June 1970, fired a battery 1. This grid, this was the target, this was a claimed kill. So you can get a
Wow.
verbal description, but you can also do a statistical analysis and find out. The U.S. made a measure of effectiveness of whether we were doing well in Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
the body count. Secretary of
Okay.
Defense McNamara, coming out of Ford Motors, wanted
Mm-hmm.
quantitative research that you could quantify and he could judge over time
Right.
statistics on whether you were doing good. So he and Westmoreland
Mm-hmm.
agreed it was body count. And if we killed 100 of them to one of us, and our ratio was 10 to 1, we were winning. And they
Right.
fed that to the politicians, to
Mm-hmm.
themselves, and to the military institution for the entire Vietnam War. And it was the metric they used to define success.
Right.
But big problem. Uncle Ho and his best friend, General Giap, who ran the strategy for the North Vietnamese Army, they could give a shit less about body count, and they could give a shit less, really, about losing 10 NVA because they were martyrs for the cause. Does that sound familiar? Iraq and
Mm-hmm.
Afghanistan, martyrs
Yeah,
for the cause.
that's
So
right.
you could kill 10 martyrs and think you're really getting there. Their measuring stick was the will of the leaders of South Vietnam, the will of the leaders of the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
militarily, and at the strategic level. It's in all the documents that are now coming out 50 years later, their documents.
Mm-hmm.
Their audience was the political cadre of the United States government, Lyndon Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
Richard Milhouse Nixon, the Congress, to change their thought process, and we'll bloody the Americans until they leave. Then when
Mm-hmm.
the Americans leave, we'll win our war. So they won the Vietnam War. And if you go to Vietnam today, I
Mm-hmm.
got back 12 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
They teach it in their school. They won. They wrote their history. It's called the American War. So go real quick. They teach in their Civics 101 the
Mm-hmm.
French War. Guess what? They won the French War and defeated the French.
Yeah.
Dien Bien Phu, you military historians, guess who won that? Uncle Ho and General Giap.
Right.
14 years later, we have the Caesar case on. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
General Giap, Uncle Ho. They're trying to get us to leave.
Right.
Nixon and Kissinger in private finally figured out they were leaving. They don't tell the American public. They call it Vietnamization. Draw it out over
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of years, cost a bunch of lives. Talk about
Right.
bitter, wasted boys, blah, blah, blah. So the method of effectiveness were two different. The first one, quantifiable, integrated observation device, Office of Naval Research developed it in 6 months, end of 68, beginning of 69, built 10 of them,
Mm-hmm.
deployed 10 of them into country. They went to the 11th Marines. I Corps was run by the 3rd Marine Amphibious Force, the higher headquarters, over 4 divisions, 2 Marine divisions, 2
Mm-hmm.
Army divisions. So 6 of the IODs went to the Marines. 4 of them went down to the Americal Division that served in I
Okay.
Corps just below the 1st Marine Division.
Mm-hmm.
And technology joined the battlefield with a boatload of statistics saying they increased the body count, whatever that meant, tactically, strategically, operationally, strategically, different MOE to different people.
Right.
Started on Hill 119. Read about it in the book. I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
I had to say it.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, continue plugging it. That's fine.
Okay, so we're on 119, and I started with this book is about Marines, and the 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 heart of the book is 119. But I picked different teams like Fig Newton or a team called Bad Actor. What a great name, Bad Actor. They went out, went to Badlands, a place called the Quaison Mountains, which
Uh-huh.
is west of Quaison Valley, and was base area 116 for the 2nd NVA Division, commanded by General Ben, B-I-H-N, who was double-hatted, thing the Marine Corps did, as the 4th Front 4 commander. So we
Okay.
talked about the ridiculousness of the personnel policy of individual replacements.
Mm-hmm.
So in I Corps, we had individual replacements. Our enemy, the VC and the NVA, only got replaced when they got killed and only moved when it was a strategic move.
Mm-hmm.
So for Hill 119, in the 600 days that it was surrounded
Right.
by the NVA, the VC infrastructure support team was led by the village elder of the hamlet Tho San, which was a
Mm-hmm.
hamlet 1,000 meters north of the OP, and the
Mm-hmm.
village elder was a lady that every recon Marine in 1st Recon knew, named the One-Armed Woman. And she was 4'2",
Uh-huh.
beetle nut beauty, eating beetle nut, black teeth,
Yeah.
one-armed, cinched off, that she lost fighting with the Viet Minh, fighting the French. And she was the
Wow.
elected elder of that village and in the district. And so to us, she was the South Vietnamese face.
Right.
At nighttime, she was VCI, #1 person on the hill.
Huh.
Her counterpart was the commander of Hill 119, anywhere from a staff sergeant to a captain. So one time a
Uh-huh.
captain once, the guy who started it, first time up, Captain Wilson,
Uh-huh.
Staff Sergeant Hall one time, normally a first lieutenant. There were 24 hill commanders in 600 days. Most of the hill commanders only did one turn, 2 weeks up there. 4 or 5 of us did between 4 and 5 turns.
Okay.
So I'm a 5-time, that means Hill 119 commander, which means I had 2 weeks, 5 times. So
Right.
learn the same lesson over, or hopefully learn. So figuring out the one-armed woman was a VC, took first recon about all in 1969.
Oh,
And then
wow.
we got hand-me-down from the lieutenants in the lieutenant's hooch. Hey, the one-armed lady, she's really VC. Well, you can't pick her up because we're not allowed to.
Right.
And in the daytime, she's out in the field and she's wearing pajamas and hoeing. So you can only get her at nighttime if you can catch her.
Right.
And of course, she would come weekly to the hill and bitch that you were doing something bad to her fields.
Right.
Write letters of protest. Oh, and let's see. In that time, the division had, in those 2 years, 3 division commanders, maybe 4.
Oh, wow.
The counterpart 2-star, General Ben, when the first guy got there in 69, he had already been in base area 116 for 5 years.
Wow.
He had another 5 years going.
Mm-hmm.
He was responsible to the Central Committee up north for Da Nang. So he decided whether rockets were going in, keep you off balance, or if we're going to during Tet, and there was a Tet every year because the NVA season is 4 seasons. Tet is a spring offensive. It's because the weather's good. It's just like Napoleon, right? In good weather, you attack. Napoleon thought he knew it, attacked too long into the winter, kept going to Moscow, wouldn't learn the lesson, right? General Ben always attacked in the spring. 2 other seasons, their operational level warfare called production campaigns.
Okay.
Production was production of rice. You're a soldier in the 258th Battalion of the 2nd NVA Division. You walk the trail, you got no idea where you are. You're a North Vietnamese soldier living in the jungle. During production season, guess what? Just like at home, you went to the rice field outside the jungle, put the rice in, then harvest it. It all went back in the jungle so you could eat to the next production season.
I want to take a moment to talk about something important. Getting the VA disability rating and benefits you've earned. The VA claims process is overwhelming and can feel like a maze. For a lot of us, just getting started is half the battle. That's where Brookside comes in. Brookside Veteran Services. We've got your 6. Brookside has helped tons of veterans, just like you and me, take on the VA claim system with confidence. Whether you're filing for the first time, going through an appeal, or trying to get rating increase, they've got your back. Here's some of what they offer. Step-by-step help with your VA disability claim, support with appeals and increases, a personalized approach that respects the unique services and situation, and the best part, no upfront fees. They only get paid when you do. Go see the website, www.helpvetusa.com. Contact Michael Irie, Veteran Services Representative on Facebook, or email michael.helpvetusa@gmail.com or admin.helpvetusa@gmail.com. The bottom line is you served your country. You earned these benefits. Let Brookside help you get what's yours. Brookside Veteran Services. We've got your 6.
And then the 4th season was monsoon season, and you trained, or you hid in the jungle and had boring classes from the political officer of the unit that said, you know, they have a saying about be clean, live clean, kill clean. And it was kind of like keep your body clean,
Right.
take water upstream, shit downstream,
Mm-hmm.
and get them with the first cut of the knife or the bayonet.
Right.
And they got classes on it in the base camps from the training officer, and then the rest of the day was the political commissioner saying, Uncle Ho's Uncle Ho.
Yeah.
So I digressed, but I wanted to explain technology, the three areas of life, and then we talk about teams like Bad Actor went into the Quaisons, which is base area 112, to find a base camp called Supporting Arms on the Base Camp.
Right.
That base camp was 2 nights march from downtown Da Nang. Everything on the Ho Chi Minh Trail and by the NVA was judged by 1 night's march, not a distance, on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. It takes you 1 night to march up this hill and down this hill, 4 kilometers. At every 1 night's march was a way station on the Ho Chi Minh Trail with a dude who was in charge of keeping them 20 bamboo racks clean and having a bar of rice for you when you hit there. So a sergeant major with an NVA draft of 100 goes over the hill and comes down. You're at way station 23 Alpha. Here's your rice ball. Get in your rack. Sleep. Get up the next day. If you're next to a river, maybe you do 20 kilometers that day.
Yeah.
Base area 116, 2nd NVA Division base area. 2 nights north, 2 nights south of Da Nang International Airport. You would hike at night, leave the Quaisons, go through Phu Loc Valley, past OP 425, 1st Recon Charlie Company, up over Hill 175, past Hill 119, to Go Noi Island. On Go Noi Island, an island, water around it, NVA stronghold, bunkers underground. You spent the night. Then the next night, you could get up and go 15 kilometers and walk into downtown Da Nang. So 119 was to watch dudes coming out of the Quaisons, stirred up by a recon team, today's recon team, Bad Actor, who was chasing gooners, and ultimately, I tell their story, they have to get an emergency extract. Talk about an e-ticket ride. You don't have an LZ, you got to get out. You call for help. You start calling supporting arms to keep everybody off you. The first thing you hope to get is an OV-10 or an OV-1 bird dog up above you. Then that guy becomes the master orchestra leader, as complex as the Marine Corps band. Playing the beautiful music of stacking pairs of birds at Angel 3, Angel 4, Angel 5, 3,000, 4,000, 5. Running artillery, different lengths of barrel lengths to put the steel curtain around you so the Cobra gunships can come in, hose the 2 ridge lines. You got no LZs. CH-46 comes in, drops an aluminum ladder. You run up the aluminum ladder, take a seat, take your D-ring, clip it in. When all 6 or 8 of you are on there, the guy like external load, man. You're an external load. Lift it up, drops the nose. You're going home.
Wow.
One of the best rides going. Got replaced. Didn't really get replaced. Got upgraded with a thing called the spy rig, special purpose insertion extraction. Still have them today. Still have repellent today. Still have guys coming down fat ropes and roping in. Bad Actor stirs the pot, gets the emergency extract. They got a mission, NVA, of going to Da Nang. That night, Sister OP 425 sees a bunch of them coming out. They call on the radio. I got 200 in column. You can set your watch on one of 3 trays, and your back office is doing great on 3 trays going to Benoi Island. those team leader stories, the stories of the corpsman, the stories of the point man, from the guys that earned it through the number of patrols. And so sometimes when you ask a Vietnam guy about body count, some of the other services using supporting arm claim body count, I've never heard a Recon Marine claim body count. Their measure of their fellow Marine, which they don't talk about at the bar or over black coffee. How many patrols did you run? And where were they?
Yeah.
Everybody knows if you went into the Ashaw Valley, you got the shit shot out of you and you were good. So 3rd Force Recon, hats off to those guys for 6 months. Every team they put into the Ashaw got the shit shot out of them. And they got bloodied. But that's how 3 MAF, headed then by Lieutenant General Herman the German Nickerson, the godfather of Recon, direct tasked 3rd Force to go into the Ashaw so he could know what was coming at Leatherneck Square, Dong Ha, Wei, Da Nang.
Yeah.
Because if there's a division in trucks moving through the Ashaw on the old French highway, they're only coming to you. They're not going to a Mexican hat dance. If there's nobody there, then there's going to be a pause for a month. And you could timeline everything by rate of march, by terrain and weather. So General Ben and a one-armed woman, 2 commanders, 600 days against 24 Recon guys that kept flipping, and above them, 2 generals that had a whole division to worry about, didn't worry about Hill 119.
Yeah. Wow. It's impressive. It really is, you know.
You don't realize how much you did not know until, in my case, a lifetime as a Marine, and then a Marine support contractor supporting Marines.
Yeah.
Just sit back and now look at it from the mezzanine and say, and now the documents for both sides are available. So Ben moved every night. The guy moved, slept in a different place every night for 10 years, except Base Area 116 was in the Quaisans. He did there. 2 nights hump from Base Area 16 out by Thong Duck Special Forces Camp to the west in the Thong Duck Valley was Base Area 112.
Okay.
That was his base area. And then 2 or 3 days hump up Thong Duck Valley, you're in Laos. So if he went back to Laos, I imagine, I don't know, he might have spent 3 or 4 days next to the river, fishing and eating fish, and reading the operation order he got for the next year. He get guidance once a year.
Oh, wow.
Okay, next February, during Tet, when the moon sets, attack Da Nang. Got it, boss. We do logistics and reconnaissance 100% different and 180 out than the NVA.
Yeah.
We have tooth to tail. So there's a ratio in the Marine Corps' best of our services. And I'll make this number up. For every infantry Marine, there are 14 Marines behind him. And that was a Vietnam number, so it's probably larger, supporting him in the training pipeline through the logistics pipeline. So that means the drill instructor, supply sergeant, the guy in the wing who refuels the bird, his ammo guy to the teeth guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we got 14. We had a big tail and a little tooth.
Right.
They put a lot in their logistics.
Mm-hmm.
Logistics comes first. Teeth is small.
Mm-hmm.
So I told you those day marches. There's 300,000 coolies. You know what a coolie is? That's an indentured servant
Mm-hmm.
on your plantation.
Right.
300,000 coolies on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, living in their sector, not moving, doing the
Mm-hmm.
maintenance. They're
Right.
the sector boss who got a kitchen, got to feed the 100 to come in tonight.
Right.
I mean, come in at sundown,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And dry season, we move through 4, 5, 6 drafts. Wet season, 1 draft at a time. Who
Right.
knows? 300,000. Then each front, General Ben, 150,000 coolies, and at the front end of it, in the early days, up to through 68, Viet Cong. By 68, the end of 68, all of Viet Cong were killed. There weren't any.
Right.
Few leaders like one-armed woman.
Right.
When I'm going to attack a place, and I'm General Ben, I send my operations officer, my reconnaissance officer, maybe myself. We go sit on a hill and look at Da Nang, say, okay, in a year from now, I got my orders. We're attacking when the moon goes down to start 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to do that, I am going to pre-position ammunition
Mm-hmm.
inside the trace, inside Da Nang, at the 1 night point, at the 2 night point, the 3 night point, and I'm going to build underground bunkers and store all the ammo.
Right.
I'm talking about AK-47 rounds,
Mm-hmm.
machine gun rounds, RPGs, 122 rockets. And in this zone, we'll have a battalion attack. And so our book says a battalion gets, I'll make it up, 100 RPGs,
Mm-hmm.
100 122s.
Right.
We have the same thing. We say to the Marine, carry 3 DOA, 3 DOS Marine,
Mm-hmm.
day of ammunition, day of supply.
Right.
I tell my gunny, load them up, gunny. We're going on Cadillacs, 3 DOA, DAS for you, AJ, and your TO weapon, M16.
Mm-hmm.
Gunny
Right.
knows what it is. He knows what to inspect for. NVA the same way, except all the ammo and all the food is pre-registered.
Right.
Say we're going to attack 2 up, 2 back, and 2 around, 6 battalions. Okay, that's 6 battalion sites, 24 company sites, 140 platoon sites with this much food for attack day. When attack day comes, either the sappers who have been to sapper school up north
Mm-hmm.
or VC infrastructure from the local village, they make you, AJ, NVA company commander. Your company is in line, single file behind.
Yeah.
You don't have a map. You don't have a clue where you are. You shake hands. Guy says, 2 nights hump. Hump you the first night, stop. Everybody eats, everybody gets ammo,
Mm-hmm.
what you can carry. Second night, attack position. Everybody eats, everybody's ammo. Oh, goodbye. See that building or see that's Da Nang Airport? Attack.
Yeah.
When you run out of ammo, you leave.
Mm-hmm.
We call preparing the battle space by studying it with pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sometimes supporting arms. we prepare the battle space, and we bomb the shit out of the LZ that we're going to land in so we can land in there safe. They call preparing the battle space, putting all the ammunition, food that you need for the battle. And how's about this? When we retreat, let's go up this little draw and make a big U-shaped ambush and build bunkers ahead of time with 6 foot of dirt on top with ammo already in it and food. So we come back, and if they're dumb enough to follow us, we're going to get them in a U-shaped ambush. And when the ammo runs out, we leave out the back door and keep going west. And if they don't come today, then we spend a night there.
Yeah.
And if they come the next day and we like what it looks like, oh, here comes a Marine battalion, and they're walking up the creek bed, single file, and we wonder why platoons get pinned down in machine gun fire crosswise, and we got Marines winning medals, is because we didn't teach any of our newbies how the NVA fight. Every newbie private that made it to 6 months, he then knew it. Every second lieutenant that got to 6 months, well, he gets there, he ain't going in that. He's going to put guys on each finger. Not going up that draw. First squad, finger to the right. Yeah, I know. Bitch. Chop, get up on the high ground before we go in the draw. We retaught everybody. So back to the personnel policy. 4 generals fighting General Ben, 24 Hill 119 commanders fighting the one-armed woman.
Right.
In 600 days.
Holy cow. That's crazy.
My grandfather from Italy would say, Mamma mia.
When you put it that way, it gives a new perspective on everything that happened, right? And it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's wild.
We've gotten better with our training, but we fall into bad habits.
True.
I'll give you an example. Porta-johns. Why are there porta-johns on every Marine base? Oh, because the EPA lady told the base commander he didn't have porta-johns and the Marine shit in the fields. She was going to write the base commander up, and we got to have good sanitation for the Marines. So every Marine base got fucking porta-johns, so when Marines can navigate by fucking porta-johns, and they don't know field sanitation anymore. Hell, it's the Marine Corps base. How about asking the question, let's let Marines shit in the field, but let's do it according to the Army manual that says you put lime in there, what size it has to be, so we don't pollute the water. Maybe there's new chemicals, because when we go to war again, we ain't bringing fucking porta-johns.
True.
So we study our enemy in Iraq and Afghanistan. They didn't worry about porta-johns.
Very true.
So sometimes we don't learn our lessons. Oh,
man.
I try to be optimistic. I try to be positive. And I try to say, if we did something wrong with the lens and focus of time, maybe we can make a suggestion to help fix it. The guys that are really good at it are our brothers in the wing. Mott's One is an example of learning and relearning and listening to the young super jocks that are flying those fighters and turning the lessons learned. We now have the F-35 and The home of the F-35 for the Marine Corps is in Yuma. It's not by mistake. The F-35 is now incorporated into MOTS 1. The F-35 has changed the tactics, I'm told, revolutionized
Yeah.
the way we fight air warfare. Oh, I can't tell you because it's all classified. Trust me. And then we have the next evolution, and that is called a flying IED. So Iraq and Afghanistan, for 20 years, we had IEDs in the ground, improvised explosive device. And that first word improvise means we have a thinking enemy, and he's going to make it a trick that fools us, that blows up on us.
Right.
We called them in Vietnam booby traps, self-firing devices. Beirut bombing, we call it a truck bomb. Look at Ukraine today. That flying IED is a quadcopter you can buy at Radio Shack with a bomb on it. Plugged into a GPS system using Starlink, put on a tractor trailer truck that I take through customs with a driver that's a Russian that doesn't know what he's hauling, a third party company, and I take him up to Murmansk, 2,500 kilometers away, and I use my $900 drones on Russia's super fortress. What a great strategic classical strike will be studied for the next 20 years. We have to be developing what's called in today's terminology first person drones. And a first person drone means you have a drone and you're running it. Ukraine is down to every rifleman also has a first person drone, 1-to-1. We're not even close.
Yeah.
We're now getting drones at the squad level. That's good. Got a lot to study and learn. You go back to Hill 119, we have lots of lessons that we learned. You have to look at it and say, what's the lesson from Ukraine? What's the lesson from Gaza? Look at the attack that surprised the Israelis. Hamas had been quiet for 20 years. They knew about the tunnels, had no idea the complexity of the tunnels. But, you know, Israel now has dedicated tunnel units. We had tunnel rats in Vietnam. That's, hey, you're little and you're an FNG PFC, and I'm a Lance Corporal. I'm going to give you a 45 and a flashlight. You're going in the tunnel. You freak out, you come back, I never make you do that again. You go in, you come back out, you're bragging. You just became that squad's tunnel rat. And you adopted. So they had, you know, the gliders, right? Hamas had gliders. What do you do in a glider attack? You shoot the fucker down. But what if that's coming when all these drones are coming? Who do you shoot down first? The drone or the glider that's coming? Anyway, I digress. You're kind to let me digress.
It's all good.
I think I left you as a me, myself, and I as a platoon commander on Hill 119. While we're there, it reminds me, most of the stories are about Recon Marines. There is a story in the book that's a true story about a lieutenant named Lee, W.X. Lee. The lesson learned on this story could be rules of engagement. And we could talk a whole long time about Lieutenant Lee, on his first and only time to the hill as a recon platoon commander,
Right.
saw 4 Vietnamese villagers below the hill at 700 meters digging a bunker and cutting bamboo in civilian clothes. Ooh. What now, Lieutenant?
Mm-hmm.
Well, nobody had briefed him on this situation. His platoon Sergeant Herman Diaz, had seen it before and was sitting on the hill on the top of his bunker with a cup of cocoa and coffee mixed together from sea rats and his 7x50 binoculars. Been watching them about an hour, couldn't figure out what they were doing. But obviously cutting bamboo and digging a hole. They were in a no fire zone. Ooh, what does that mean? They were in a overlapped restricted fire zone. What does that mean? Overlapped by a free fire zone. 3 ROEs for 3 different situations for the same exact point on the ground. So one of the acceptable courses of action is identify them as enemy and kill them.
Right.
Well, the hill had been watching them for an hour. When there's nothing to do on the hill, everybody watches. So the IOD guy, the RDFO, he's friggin' watching. What are they doing? Fuck. The guys that aren't sunbathing, half of them, are watching, playing a card game in the top of the bunker. 4 guys playing, 1 set of binos, 1 guy dealing. What's going on? Morning routine. Can't kill them. One of them shoot warning rounds at them and make them move out of that area. Warning round sometimes, illumination round, a mortar 60 mortar, maybe M79 round if you reach it, illumination. A lot of guys used a 50 cal machine gun because it had a red tracer in it, kind of offset to the right, 20 meters, shoot it at them, get the hint, they don't move next time. Lieutenant Lee said he knew about that, but said, shit, those are all area weapons. I'm going to use a sniper rifle. He had 2 snipers, school trained. Now, they were both new. Both had their Remington 700 sniper rifles up there.
Right.
One was left-handed, one was right-handed. Who even knew we had left-handed snipers? I didn't. But shit, he had 2 snipers. So he tells Lance Corporal, bro, the right-handed sniper rifle guy, go get your rifle. Bro gets fired up. He goes to the bunker. They come in a case that looks like your fiddle case or your trumpet case.
Like trumpet, yeah.
Yeah. Takes out his baby. He was issued that after he graduated sniper school. His friggin' baby, it's set for his eye. His dope is on it. His matched ammo box. He comes up and Lieutenant Lee says, give it to me. I'm taking the shot. What? He said, I should take the shot. We're not trying to kill him. Sergeant Diaz says, hey, bro, take your pack off. We're not trying to kill these people. We want them to move. The lieutenant goes up in the tower because that's where the big guys are. And there's a new second lieutenant from the Arty there in the tower. He says to him, I'm going to take a warning shot and move these people. How about you watch? So he wants a steady thing. He sets it on the ledge, aims in, offset, shoots. Bro's got his M49 spotting scope, just like the rifle range. Hey, sir, left 30, up 30.
Right.
The lieutenant says, that was real loud. I don't want you in my tower. Please leave. What he was really saying was he didn't think that Lee should be shooting at the woman. He didn't have the guts to tell him. He was a second lieutenant. He didn't want to tell him, but he didn't want to have anything to do with this. Leave my tower. He was a tenant on the hill. Lee was the hill commander. This guy's a tenant. So Lee says, okay. Goes down, gets on top of a bunker, gets in the sitting position at the rifle range, crosses his leg, dials in the next round, shoots it, and misses. Bro goes left 20, up 20. He dials the next one in, turns, shoots, and hits the lady that's standing over the bunker, talking to the lady that's sitting in a sitting position, feet in the bunker, and hits her in the chest. Bro says, shit, sir, you hit her. He says, oh, shit, where'd I hit her? He says, in the chest. How do you know? She's wearing a white top and I can see red blood. He's in the scope.
Yeah.
And then she does one of these and falls over. Everybody's looking. The woman in the bunker who was digging a bunker stands up. It's the one-armed woman. So she sends the third woman to the village. They get a stretcher. Stretcher's made out of a parachute. They come back, get the body, take it back to the village. 30 minutes later, they bring it up to the hill. Now the protocol is, at a certain spot below the hill, you go meet the delegation from the village. The one-armed woman's got the dead woman in the stretcher. She wants compensation for killing the woman. You killed this woman, I need compensation. So Lee says, okay, calls on the radio to Diaz. The one-armed woman says she's a widow. Her husband was killed 2 weeks ago, and she's got 2 kids, and she's pregnant. So Lee gets on the radio and says, give me 2 cases of sea rats and a rain suit. Herman Diaz comes down, gives the lieutenant 2 cases of sea rats and a rain suit. The rain suit's going to be the shroud. They tell the one-armed woman, go bury your dead. So they go down the trail about 400 meters and bury her in a potter's grave, not in the cemetery, right off the hill.
Yeah.
Lee goes back up to the hill. The Army lieutenant said you shouldn't have done that. He said, we can have a chat if you want. I'm responsible for security. Goes down to the bunker, writes up a report, says, killed suspected VC woman, this time, this date, this location, radios it in. Oh, the artillery radio the same thing in on the artillery network. Oh, 2 reports. They chalk it up. 1 VC body count. Everybody's happy. One-armed woman, being the village elder, goes back, writes a letter to the district. She's district. She endorses the letter to the province. Province chief hands it to the Arvin Colonel Province chief, sends it to Saigon. Saigon Vietnamese 4-star hands it over to the 4-star U.S. general. Says, this is not right. Marines shot woman who's a village woman pregnant, who's just a villager. You can't do that. We want an investigation.
Wow.
The Army had covered up my lie for 4 years.
Yeah.
It had just popped. So here's Marine Corps. You want an investigation? Roger that. Resident Agent, Naval Investigative Service, Da Nang, Vietnam. If you're an NIS agent in 1970 and you're the resident agent, Da Nang, you got a house on the same street that the White Elephant Club is in downtown Da Nang. White Elephant Club, big Navy officers club. 2 houses down. Your office, your house. Oh, suspect murder 1? Get my 3 interpreters, my personal guard, man. Our NIS investigation says there's enough here for an Article 32. For any civilians listening there, Article 32 is UCMJ grand jury. First Division says, NIS says Article 32. The general says Article 32. But we'll give you our best. The deputy staff judge advocate, lieutenant colonel, lawyer for 25 years, going to be the Article 32. Full run Article 32. Lieutenant Lee, now you're relieved of command. You got to go to H&S Company, Hug and Suck Company, First Recon, and do every shitty job. And you got to wait until you're Article 32, because it's just up the hill. So yeah, you're the postal officer, you're the shit officer for the shitters. You do the ammo inventory, you do the wire inventory. You do every job that no other lieutenant wants to do.
Right.
For 4 months. Article 32, it's just one guy. You have your defense lawyers. By now, his first defense lawyer, Marine captain named Hargrave, says, hey, I'm a reserve. My first duty assignment, you're my 3rd case. Marines always put the new lawyers on the defense to sort out the good for the bad, put the good guys in prosecution. This is a murder 1 count. You need to hire civilian attorneys. He sends a telegram to his dad. His dad bankrupts the family, hires 2 civilian attorneys out of San Jose. They fly to Da Nang. They are the Article 32. Say this is bullshit, blah, blah, blah. The Article 32 officer goes, This is the institution of Marine Corps.
Yeah.
The institution's reputation. This is the staff judge advocate, full colonel, Colonel Frank Lucy, China, World War II, China, Korea, Vietnam, known as the White Fox, gives him the case. It's the generals had to sign the 32 convening order. Was a raider, World War II. I think we're going to need a general court-martial just so the Marine Corps can say, we're not the Army, we left no stone unturned. But I can see where it's not, there was no intent here. It was not murder 1. So I'll downgrade it to a violation of Article, I think it's 119, from Hill 119. Wow. GCM. Wait another 2 months. 2 San Jose lawyers got to come back. Now it's a general court martial in a division courtroom, a Quonset hut, only one of 3 air-conditioned places in Division CP.
Right.
Full week. We're going to bring in a Navy judge just so we can say the Marines didn't cook the books. We're going to put a Navy prosecutor on with 2 Marine prosecutors. We're going to put a Navy guy in a jury. And meanwhile, it's Captain Hargrave, 3rd case, and the 2 civilian attorneys who have never studied UCMJ. Today, you can go outside any military base, and there's a former Army, Navy, Marine SJA that has a practice of getting guys out of DUIs. Back then, didn't exist. These guys were criminal lawyers in a 5-name corporate law firm in San Jose that did commercial law, but a little side practice on the side. Lee's family happened to be from San Jose, so they went over. These 2 guys are in their 30s. They were the lowest fee per hour.
Yeah.
Get on the plane, fly over. General court martial for Lee. So you want to find out all about Lee and the nitty-gritty details. You got to buy the book, Hill 119. I can tell you the reason we know the facts is Lieutenant Lee saved a 167-page Naval Investigative Service classified secret, now declassified, transcript. The transcript, the entire verbatim transcript from the Article 32 and a summary transcript for the GCM. So besides interviewing Marines that were on the Hill, like Lance Corporal Bro, who was looking through the binoculars, we've got their written statement, Bro's written statement on yellow legal tab, signed 1970. We have his transcript testimony in the Article 32. So we know exactly what happened.
Wow.
And what Bro did. That whole case can be used as a case study for rules of engagement, because in the Article 32 and in the trial, of course, the rules were brought in by the prosecution and the defense.
Right.
And were things that the jury of his peers, they weren't really his peers, there were 7 people ended up on the jury. The president of the jury was a full colonel. The junior guy was a major. And there was a lieutenant commander, Navy guy. We go into the defense strategy. We go into the prosecution strategy and what some of the witnesses said and did. But it sets up a discussion of, I'm Corporal Bayok. I'm looking through these ship binoculars. I got these guys on Gunoi Island at 8,000 meters, and they're wearing black pajamas. Do I fire? The answer is moral conscience says, I've been watching these guys all day long. If I watch them long enough, I'll see a rifle. So in the production phase, these guys go out with hose and work in the field. But when they move from the field back to where they sleep, they pick up the rifle that's been sitting on top of the dry rice paddy dike. As soon as you see a rifle, you get on the radio, you can call it in. Now you got them, they got a weapon, I've identified it, and it's a free firing zone. I'm going to kill them. I did the right thing.
Yeah.
Lots of examples of that, or back to Recon Team Bad Actor. Point man's walking uphill on a trail in a free fire zone, in the mountains, in the jungle, where no villagers live. It's 2:00 in the afternoon, and coming around a turn is a guy in uniform carrying an AK-47. You got 1.1 nanosecond to pull the trigger.
Right.
And you lace him with a half a magazine right up and down his chest, going up the top of his head, and you drop him right there. And then Bad Actor's game is on to see if we can get him out on an emergency extract where they have to call their radio relay. Hill 119, who that day for Bad Actor happened to be me. So I violated the principle. I switched frequencies, went up on the OV10 network that went back to the ready room, said, this is West Orange. The call sign for that month for Hill 119 was West Orange. I said, this is a West Orange Actual calling any hostage aircraft. The OV10's call sign was hostage. The pilot in the front seats, hostage, and then usually his first name. 2 seconds later, this is hostage Bill. What do you got, West Orange Actual? Hey, I got Team Bad Actor in a bad way, in the North Quaysons. Thanks, West Austin. Give me the frequency. I'm coming over now. I'm inbound. I am 2 minutes out. Best sound in the world. He dials up the frequency. Then the guy in the back seat, call signs Cowpoke, usually a Marine first lieutenant, has been to Aerial Observer School. This is Cowpoke 10. Bad actor, bad actor. What do you got? And you hear a guy in there going, Cowpoke, I got 30 of them chasing me up a hill. I got you, bad actor. Where are you? I'll hit you with a flash in a minute. A flash is a signal mirror.
Yeah.
In daylight, you look through the hole in the signal mirror, you stop, you get the sun, you listen for the OV-10, you just launch it towards the direction you hear it. The OV-10 sees a flash. I got your flash. He sets up in a circle, and then he brings the cavalry. And we talked about all the air power that comes. And that team got the ladder extract and got out. And as I say in the book, they're home for lunch, and they're eating lunch in the mess hall, getting a hot shower that night, drinking a cold beer in their hooch, and in 2 days are looking forward to going back to the Quaysons, starting another 5-day patrol.
Man,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're not joking about the adrenaline things that are going on. You know, you get addicted to it, and you know they were like, "Yep, we're ready to go back out again."
Yeah, the Recon Marines that were good gravitated toward wanting to be on patrol. They had enough of their friends in the grunts that never got to initiate contact and always step on booby traps. They also got their own booby traps, walking patrols around the wire, doing wire checks on Hill 119. Where there are booby trap incidents where recon guys got booby trapped doing wire checks. So they have this oral history hand-me-down that they control their own destiny. And they would run for about 9 months or 10 months, make a decision. If they got promoted on the team, they would stay at it to about the 12-month point. About the 12-month point, there was a gate. Either they extended because they want to stay with their brothers, or they're married and want to go home, and not very many guys. They started to look for reasons not to go to the bush. And so if you're a good leader, not manager, and you had a guy who had 23 patrols and 2 weeks left, I personally said, you stay in the hooch, and if the company gunny catches you, that's your fault. You burn shitters. Otherwise, you go to Freedom Hill every day, walk down the PX, go to the club every night, drink beer. You earned your last 2 weeks in the rear. You don't have to go. I got a great story in a book. Make it real short. I was at a recon reunion a couple years back. I ended up being a Delta company commander. Stick around long enough, first lieutenant, you become the company commander.
Yeah.
This guy, 55, 60, walks up to me, drinking a beer. He said, "Hey, sir, you don't remember me?" I said, "No, help me out." "My name's Burns." "Hey, Burns, how you doing? Nebraska?" "Yeah." "Big farm?" "Yeah." "I made more money than you'll ever think about." "How's it going?" "Life is great." "Yeah, I got to tell you something. You really helped me out one day. You and Top Rigolot, you really set me straight. Master Sergeant Rigolot was our company first sergeant. He happened to be a master sergeant because in recon, you can go master sergeant, be a technician, you go first sergeant, be a leader. You got both. We didn't have enough first sergeants. He says, "Well, you know, I only had about 3 weeks left to go, and you held office hours on me." I said, "Did?" "Yeah." I said, "Well, wait a minute. Rigolot was at the same reunion. They go, hey, Rigolot, get your ass over here. We all had beer. We all sat at the table. Okay, Burns, I have no recollection or memory of this office hours at all.
Wow.
Rigolot has no memory at all.
Yeah.
Burns says, yeah, I was kind of on that time off, basket leave, 3 weeks, go down to the PX and come back. Each company had their own club.
Yeah.
Delta Company's club was called a Stagger Back In. The bartender was a 20 patrol lead, 20 patrols, Lance Corporal, month left to go. He had to stock ice and beer in the coolers. Club opened at 4 every night, closed when Top Rigolot said it closed.
Mm-hmm.
Beer and soda club for the Marines and the Corpsmen.
Right.
Well, I decided to go to the Ville and get some souvenirs. Top Rigolot said, you went to the Ville to get late. Well, we got drunk in the Ville. The Ville was across the street from Freedom Hill, about 4 kilometers. So there were 7 of us. We bail out of the skivvy house, and the MPs were always cordon off the Ville on the roadside because all the remps would just go to the road and get caught.
Mm-hmm.
Recon guys would go to the rice paddy side, dive into the rice paddies, which are fertilized with human fertilizer, which is okay. The bad fertilizer is water buffalo fertilizer, which is in there.
Okay.
You'd swim 6 or 7 rice paddies. Post 4 was the recon post that overlooked the rice paddies, and you're on Camp Reasoner.
Mm-hmm.
And I was coming through post 4, and the officer of the day caught me coming in at 3 in the morning. So I got written up in the book, and so my lieutenant, the lieutenant happened to be Lieutenant Lee, because he'd been on the Hill 119. My lieutenant said, you got to go to company commander's office hours. I'm a first lieutenant. Well, you can't do much. I mean, you can fine them and you can restrict them. That's about all you can do as company commander.
Yeah.
So he comes in, he tells this story. Well, I said, thank you for being honest, but I have to do something. So I'm going to chew your ass out. I'm going to reduce you 2 ranks, Lance Corporal, 3 ranks down to private, which I couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fine you $45. He goes, sir, you got a $45. Oh, sir. I said, $45. You got 3 weeks left. I could lock you up, or I could make you miss the plane going home. I couldn't do either. He didn't know it.
Yeah.
Don't get in trouble. Don't go to Freedom Hill. Don't go to the Ville. Just go to the club and drink. Get out of here. He leaves. I say to Top Rigolot, write it up, send it back into my inbox, and just leave it in my inbox and let the Lance Corporal rotate home.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get in trouble again, come in, get it out of my inbox, and rip it up. He didn't get in trouble. Rigolot ripped it up, forgot about it. I forgot about it. He didn't get busted, which I couldn't do. He didn't lose his $45.
Yeah.
When he got home, he got an early out. He had a 2-year enlistment. He got home at about the 20-month point. Marine Corps said, we're getting small. You can re-up. We can send you to Camp Lejeune and you'll cut grass for 4 months. We'll pay you or you can get out. I'll get out. Went back to Nebraska. Said the incident, he said it squared me away. Went to junior college, took over the family farm, went and got my ag degree, University of Nebraska, got into big equipment, bought up other farms. Best office hours I ever got. Hey, let's have another beer, Burns. I'm sure you got it right. Unbelievable. Hey, you gotta love them. Gotta love them.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
They are. And I love them. I love every one of them.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I think we may have to do another podcast to get through the rest of your career.
Hey, AJ, I don't know how many you want to do. We can do all the easy stuff easy, but I got 4 other hard points, and we can talk a little bit about each of them. As a captain, I told you I didn't get to go to the Royal Marines. My friend Tom Jones did.
Mm-hmm.
I actually ended up in the long haul, got a better deal. I got second to the United Nations, ended up in southern Lebanon with the UN, got to observe firsthand the Palestine Liberation Army, the army branch of the then Palestine Liberation Organization, attack Israel. So I got to watch a war from an OP as a Marine captain.
Wow.
Got to watch the Israeli counterattack and was taken hostage by both sides at different times. I always claim POW. They say you're with the Marine Corps and the Army duty. Say you're with the UN. You're a hostage. So learned a whole bunch from watching, like, once again, from the mezzanine.
Yeah.
I did all the good stuff. Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I had the good fortune of leading 1st Battalion, 1st Marine, MUSOC certified, meched up, took Kuwait International Airport. 3rd night of the war, mechanized. I got a whole nother fraternity, 1,481 Corpsmen Marines that we spent 100 hours together doing great things, and took some WIAs, but no KIAs in that round.
Right.
And then there, maybe a separate time if you're interested. 22 years as a contractor, but the good things doing to support Marines from a technology point of view in Iraq and Afghanistan. So those are 4 future versions, and we can talk until you get tired of me. I appreciate you giving me this platform to plug the book, and I appreciate you using the platform to plug the Marine Corps League, which is really an organization to take care of needy Marines that need help at their heart and soul. So this evening, AJ, thanks for having me on, and I hope you have a great afternoon.
Absolutely. Hey, Mike, don't hang up on me. Stay on until after I do the outro here. Just hang on to it, and then I'll pull you back in. To all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA has some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on the chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. I know Mike cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there and you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies that you served with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need that helping hand, please give it to them. Again, Mike, thank you. Much appreciated. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
Government say they make a man.